Join SoFlo Vegans on Thursday, September 24th at 7 p.m. with other members of our community. Learn about all the exciting people, places, and events that make South Florida a global hotspot for veganism. This month's guests include vegan educator, transition coach, and animal rights activist Karen Ellis-Ritter, creator of the Veggie Vero book series, Veronica Green, and humane educator with Animal Rights Foundation of Florida, James Wildman. Participate in an interactive live chat, watch never-before-seen content featuring the South Florida community, and participate in surprise giveaways from our partners. Join us Thursday, September 24th at 7 p.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and by visiting SoFloVegans.com/live. Hey everybody, we are live. Thank you guys so much for joining us here at the SoFlo Vegans live event. And I'm Sean Russell, by the way, founder of SoFlo Vegans. And we have...
Hey guys, it's Alba Mendez-Chang, social media coordinator. How are you guys?
So we're excited to have this. And if this is your first time joining us for live, the idea is to bring a sense of community back to South Florida through the content that we're creating. We used to do these sort of events at Art Serve and other various locations where we would speak to the community, have special guests on, have the vendors there. Obviously, that gets to be shifted a little bit because we can't have vendors give out digital food. Although, maybe for next time we can figure out how to make that work. No, but we have, as you saw that promo, we have a lot of guests coming on. We're excited to present them to you. We have Veronica Green. If you've never heard about Veronica Green or what she is up to, she's created the Veggie Vero series of children's books. And when I heard that she's releasing a brand new one in October, I was like, I have to get her on so we can talk about that. We have James Wildman, who is someone we've been following for a long time, and we finally had an opportunity to catch up with him. He does the presentation 101 Reasons to Go Vegan. So I definitely wanted to have him on the show. So if you have anybody that is thinking about going vegan or is interested, I highly recommend you get them to watch this show if they have the ability to watch today, and they can ask questions. So we want this to be interactive. It's not just going to be a bunch of talking heads, videos playing. We want to hear from you. So with that being said, Alba's like, oh, what is he going to do now? She's used to me just like throwing her to the wolves. All right. So Alba, what question do you want to know? Have the audience answer? Like, what question would you love to hear their response to? And by the way, throughout the show, we're going to be looking for people who are interactive, who are participating, and we're going to be giving some prizes at the very end. So we'll be looking, Alba and myself, we're going to be looking and we're going to be picking people. So what's your question, Alba, for them to answer in the chat?
Oh my gosh, I talk about putting me on the spot. Actually, I think if it comes to our guests, don't be afraid. The good thing about our guests that we put out here is that they're not afraid of questions. So if you want to ask about, maybe you might want to know, how can I start writing a children's book? Go ahead and ask. If you have questions for me and Sean based on our expertise, I'd be more than willing to answer as much as I can based on my nursing background, Sean media background, podcasting background.
Well, let's talk about that real quick.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about, because I know you launched a blog not too long ago. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Hi. So yes, everybody knows my moniker. It's the Veg Nurse. So I decided to do a blog because I just have so many funny stories working in the hospital for the 10 years that I have as a nurse, almost 10. So it has to do with interviews that I've done, which is something that I already do for SoFlo. So it's a lot of various influencers, people from different countries. I'm really excited for that. I'm not going to tell you just yet, but some Asian countries, we assume that Asians eat pretty much anything and everything, which is true, but there's such a thing as Asian vegan. So I've been talking to a lot of people about that. There's also information in regards to certain areas in the medical field, especially my field, which is cardiac and trauma ER medicine. So if you want to read a little bit more about that, the blog comes out usually every Thursday, but it has that little vegan twist on it, not just medicine.
And what actually can they find it? What's the name of the blog?
It is called thevegnurseblog.com or thevegnurse.com. It's much easier to find that way, but it's known as the Veg Nurse blog.
All right, awesome. We're excited for that. And you know what we're excited for? We recently launched, we didn't recently launch it, but the directory, we started to
It's still new.
It's still new. It's new to you guys, like reruns. So the directory, we're excited about how much people are, going to it and supporting these businesses, because really the whole concept behind it is if we're giving you a way to show love to these restaurant owners that are providing delicious food for people who are interested in the vegan lifestyle. So what's happening with the directory is on Friday, 11:59, we are in the evening, we're going to be capturing
Eastern time.
That's important. We're going to be capturing where all the rankings are. And then the previous week, what we're going to be doing is the next week, rather, we're going to go ahead and start promoting those businesses. So that gives you guys an incentive to let people know about this directory. They can find these resources. It's not just listings of where to, it's just not list of where to find I said wow because Anika Foods and Green Bar and Kitchen are like killing it right now. Wow. Okay. So I wasn't expecting that. So if you click on the actual links, there's information inside. It's not just the voting system. You can watch videos that we've done, events that we've participated with those particular places. So over time, we'll be taking more content, putting them in there. So all the spotlights, all the Instagram stuff you see us doing, you'll also be able to see it in this location. So if you wanted to vote for Leaves and Roots, which I'm technically a member, I could vote, then you would see their listings jump up and down. But it's not just restaurants. We have podcasts, bakeries, food trucks. We're breaking them all down. So over time, we'll just be putting more and more information. So if you go to SoFloVegans.com/directory, you'll be able to find that. But the other thing I want to talk about too, before we bring on our guests in a little bit, is the community itself. So one of the big things right now is going out and finding people who may not be vegan, letting them know about what's going on, letting them know it's a cool lifestyle that you could be a part of. And in that respect, that's why we've really ramped up the video spotlights that we're doing, because a lot of us already know these restaurants are awesome. What we want to do is show them the food, show them that, veganism isn't twigs and leaves or
celery.
Or celery. You're getting fancy on me, Alba.
Hey, we love our celery juice, but sometimes some people just assume, hey, guess what? I'm only going to eat celery for the rest of my life. No.
But with what you do get is you get to see events, parties, block parties, seafood and wine, all of these things that happen that I don't remember like having, all of those amazing events to have when I wasn't vegan. You know what I mean? So to be able to have that in this community that's always growing, like businesses are opening up right now. I could count 5 vegan businesses that have opened up during the pandemic. So if that doesn't tell you like South Florida is a global hotspot for veganism, I don't know what will tell you that. So I'm going to play a quick video that's going to tell you a little bit more about some of the benefits of becoming a community member. It is free. It's not like, hey, I help, man, you got the silver dollar or whatever. I don't know. Let me stop. Might offend some people. I'm going to go ahead and play that video. And afterwards, I have another guest from our team that we're going to be bringing on the show. Hey, everybody. I'm Sean Russell, founder of SoFlo Vegans. As a member of our community, you're directly supporting every single vegan or veg-friendly business, sanctuary, and nonprofit organization in South Florida. The way that SoFlo Vegan supports these organizations is through our content. We produce podcasts, video spotlights, articles, magazines, live events, and our online directory that points people to hundreds of vegan resources. We look forward to having you join us to find out all the amazing things that are happening here in South Florida. As a community member, you get to participate in promotions, volunteer for some amazing organizations, join our special live sessions with podcast guests, and so much more. There's so much that we have in line for this community, and your support allows it all to happen. So get started today. Go to SoFloVegans.com/community. Click that Get Started button, and then become an official member of SoFlo Vegans. Yeah. And so that's just a little taste of what the community is about. It also allows us to continue to grow and reach new heights with everything that we're doing. So in a little while, we're going to have Karen Ellis-Ritter join us. And if you're not familiar with Karen, I can tell you that since I started SoFlo Vegans and, started having our events, she's always been there to support SoFlo Vegans, to show up, to be in a presentation, and just as an individual, as a human being, she's a really great person. And I'm so glad. Oh, look at this. Your ears are probably burning, Karen, as I was talking about you. I actually want to bring Karen on a little bit, like right now, just pre-talk, while Alba's here as well. And I want to give you your roses while you're on, not while you're in the thing, because there you go.
Yay! Welcome,
hey guys.
What I was saying before you came, I'm fantastic. That's the word I'm going with. Right?
You are fantastic.
I was saying, like, since we started SoFlo Vegans, officially launched, you were one of the people that were always there. You showed up. I'd reach out. Hey, you want to come to Art Serve and do a talk? Mm-hmm. You're like, sure. So I just wanted to thank you for everything that you've done for SoFlo Vegans, as well as the vegan community in general. If you watched the last episode that we had, we talked about the pigs at the new vegan.
Yeah.
So when I put that out, Karen was the first person to reach out to me to help figure out something. So I had meant to do a follow-up on that. So where was the last thing that you heard in terms of where all that, just in case anybody watched the videos and they were concerned?
Well, I know that Yvonne and Julian kind of rallied the troops, and their Dharma Bear Rescue, they actually raised some money, and 500 pounds of pig feed they delivered.
Oh,
nice. So so that's something they're planning on doing, more than once. So if you want to send a donation to Dharma Bear so that they can do that again for these piggies. But they seem to be doing well, and I give major props to Patricia and Raheen for taking it on. I know that it's something they didn't sign up for, but they're doing well, and they're surviving. I mean, we would like to be able to afford, to get these guys spayed and neutered so that they're not breeding more. But Raheen built pens and separated the females from the males. So, I mean, I don't have any personal involvement in any of that. I was just kind of at this point spreading the word and trying to, rally the troops as best I could. So I'm not really the one to ask, but that was the last I heard was Yvonne and Julian got a lot of people involved, and yeah, it's awesome.
And that's the power of community, and that's what I love to see. You don't necessarily have to be the person, but if you know someone and you can connect people, I mean, that's how we grow. It's like, who do you know?
Know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody.
Exactly.
So Alba's gonna Alba's gonna come back on in a little bit. I'm gonna jump into our conversation, and everyone that's watching this right now, if you're enjoying what you're watching, share the link on YouTube, share the link on Facebook. Let's get more people in the chat so they can ask questions. That's really what my focus is. I want people to be able to have direct access to people with various expertise in living a vegan lifestyle. So thank you so much, Alba. Will you come back in a little bit? And I'm going to, there you go. All right, so Karen.
Hello.
So give us all the people that are listening right now, just a little idea of, your involvement in the vegan community over the years, because you've done a lot of interesting things.
Sure. Thank you. So my name is Karen. I'm a vegan educator, transition coach, writer, content creator. I've been working at various capacities to help educate the public about veganism and animal rights, the environment, our health, spiritual aspects of vegan living like ahimsa. So I've been doing that for a very long time. I co-founded the Compassionate Farming Education Initiative back in 2011. And our whole goal was to take the power to the people to, through education and outreach, to get consumer demand shifted towards vegan sustainable products and ultimately like a global plant-based agriculture model. Because, basically the market is at our behest. If we're not paying for certain products, if we won't tolerate certain practices, they can't push those products. So it's really based on consumer demand. So that's kind of how the whole thing started. And over the years, we've had a ton of events. We've tabled at all these different big veg fests. And, so I've talked to just all kinds of different people at all different stages of awareness when it comes to veganism. So one of the things that I encountered over and over again, because there was no shortage of people that were like genuinely interested in veganism. I think the big block a lot of people have is this belief that going vegan is hard, that going vegan is going to somehow destroy their way of life or take away their favorite comforts. So there was just a lot of misconceptions, a lot of fears that I kept hearing over and over again. So I created this thing called Vegan Kickstart 101, which was a presentation basically taking the top 10 hits, like all the biggest misconceptions and fears. And I created this presentation to kind of allay some of those fears and misconceptions. And it got a really great response. But the problem is it's a 1 hour presentation. What happens when they walk away? What happens when they don't have something in hand? What happens when they don't have a plan or someone checking in with them? So that's what made me decide to launch vegantransitioncoach.com. So that's my latest project. And I'm doing vegan transition coaching. I also do like life coaching and relationship coaching. It's all kind of enmeshed. So you could go on there and just look at, the list of services that I offer. But it's all basically it's under the umbrella of VTC Productions. And the whole point of VTC is to be a happy, well-adjusted, self-actualized human being. You have to cultivate your spiritual self, your emotional, your physical, and you have to foster love and compassion, because whatever you're putting out there is what you're getting back. And it all, we're all part of the same web. So those 4 prongs of life and living are basically, what all the content that I create is surrounded or is fostered on. So the latest project under the VTC umbrella is called The Energetic Being. It's a guided meditation series on YouTube. And if you go on vegantransitioncoach.com, there's links to all of it. There's embeds. But basically during COVID, especially, everyone's freaking out. There's so much uncertainty with elections and politics and division and misinformation that I just felt like we all just need to love ourselves and go inward and get grounded. So there's just a whole variety of guided meditations in there. And I'm putting maybe 1 to 2 new ones every month. And obviously they're free. So if you like the channel, feel free to like and subscribe and, make it part of your daily routine to get grounded and centered. So that's what I'm up to right now. And I'm just here for people. I love you guys and I love the vegan community, and anything I could do to help and support and, get more people to go vegan and enjoy it and love the process as much as I do. So.
And that's and wrapping up on this, I'm curious, any interesting finds in your journey right now, like as far as products or places that you feel like, oh, I would love to recommend? Anything coming to mind?
Products like food products?
Food products, anything that you feel like, oh, the people are gonna, once you tell them, they're like, oh, I'm so glad you told me.
Well, what I always tell people is like the Violife cheeses are insane. The new Colby Jack shreds are like, I've given it to a few people that aren't vegan, like just like therapists and people in my house for my kids, and they're like, this is not dairy. It's insane. It's unbelievable. I can't believe how far the Violife products have gone. I mean, obviously Beyond Meat, the Just products are amazing. So that stuff is great. I also think that because now Whole Foods is kind of only supplying things where there's like a monopoly, like the largest products, a lot of the specialty stuff that I used to get a few years back before veganism blew up is not there anymore. So if you go on veganessentials.com, they have just an insane amount of independent vegan brands that aren't owned by giant corporate conglomerates. If you just want to support the little guy, Loving Hut has like a really good vegan shrimp, and there's like all these really good cheeses. Vetopian cheese is probably one of my favorites. Veganessentials.com has like just all kinds of cruelty-free stuff. Not just food, but like, belts and wallets and, like vegan leather and shoes. So it's pretty cool that like for people that aren't necessarily gonna like just go to Whole Foods and buy the biggest brands.
Well, that's great. I'm gonna definitely play this clip back and pull some of those recommendations you just mentioned. So thank you so much. And one last time, tell us where we can find you, where everyone can find and start using your services.
So yeah, just go on to vegantransitioncoach.com and there's all the links out from there.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Karen. I appreciate you and look forward to that next call or text for me to be on the next program.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
Yeah, Alba. So that was great. Like she said like legit like 3 things that I didn't even knew existed. So, I have to make sure I remember to ask questions like that.
Remember, guys, there is no stupid question. Only the one that was never asked. Russian proverb.
So what I want to do before our next guest jumps on is I want to tell you a little bit about our podcast. And this is something Alba knows a lot about because she's how do you do that? Because she's behind the scenes, booking the guests, following up with them, making suggestions. So Alba, publicly appreciating you and thanking you for all the work that you do for SoFlo Vegans.
I love it.
Now, the podcast, if you've never listened to it before, instead of me talking about it, we have a quick video that we're going to play, and then we are going to have our next guest. Hey everyone, Sean Russell from SoFlo Vegans. The SoFlo Vegans podcast is the flagship show on our network. It features a global list of experts that share their vegan origin stories and address topics important to the community. Episodes include a spotlight of a local vegan business that supports our goal of showcasing South Florida to a national audience. Your support is critical to the growth of our network. We encourage you to submit questions via email, voicemail, or video. Members receive early notice of potential guests so you can submit your questions before the recording. Also, be sure to subscribe on any platform where we're available. Share new episodes, like and comment on social posts, and provide feedback on episodes so we can continue to improve. New episodes are released on Tuesday, so visit SoFloVegans.com/podcast to start listening today. So we're going to go, our next guest is actually here. So Alba, we're going to bring you back in a little bit. So sit tight. Thank you so much. And Now, our next guest is the author of the Veggie Vero series. She is no stranger to SoFlo vegans. Everybody give a virtual clap in the text message thread to Veronica Green.
Hi!
Thank you so much for coming on again. The last time I think we spoke was back at the expo we had in April.
Yes, it's good to be back.
And it seems like you've been busy. I'm sure you were working on it before that, but you know, I saw you post something online about a brand new book that you're going to be releasing, and I'm like, immediately, I must have reached out to you then. It was like, could you come on? So, welcome. So tell us, I'm going to put you in full screen so they can see it in all its splendor. Tell us about what we're looking at.
So, okay, for those of you who are not familiar with my work, I'm a children's book author, and my series is titled The Adventures of Veggie Vero. And Veggie Vero is a little vegan superhero who rescues the animals and teaches kids about compassion and kindness and plant-based options. And in each book, she rescues a new animal, and it's just a very sweet series. It's so dear to my heart. And I just came up with book number 5 of the Veggie Vero series. And in this book, she is rescuing the ocean animals. It's called Veggie Vero and the Clever Sea Dwellers. And it's kind of a special edition because it's told through the perspective of a wise old sea turtle named Sage. So that's kind of a new twist on it. And I also used a new illustrator for this book, which is exciting. So the artwork looks a little different, but it's so beautiful. I mean, it's really just stunning. The images are beautiful. There's a mystical jellyfish. I have to share this picture with you.
Oh, wow. The illustration is beautiful. They're beautiful.
The illustrations are gorgeous. I'm so happy with how it turned out. And yeah, it's newly available for purchase. It's on my website, veggievero.com, and it's also on Amazon. And I'm having my book release party next week at the Delray Children's Garden.
That's exciting that you're up to all of these things with everything that's going on. I'm seeing it happen all over the place. You know, it goes to show you that, you know, as a community, we're resilient and focused and using our gifts to make a difference. So thank you for coming on and talking about it. So tell me, what inspired, we probably have talked about it in the past, but what inspires you to even do the first book?
Well, it's funny because when I started the very first book, I didn't have it in my mind to make it a vegan superhero. I wasn't vegan at the time. I was pescatarian. I was still eating fish and some dairy. So I wasn't actually full vegan. I was, like I said, I was pescatarian. But I felt really good. And I was like, I was just kind of on like this healthy living kick lifestyle, I guess you want to say. I mean, now, like in hindsight, I know that I'm doing better now. I'm doing the best that I've ever been now. But back then, you know, you don't know what you don't know. So I really thought that I was like, I had it all figured out. I was like, yes, no red meat. You know, I really thought this was like the way to go. So I wanted a superhero that was going to just teach kids about just eating healthy in general. It wasn't going to be vegan. It was just healthy, eat your veggies type of thing. But then as I started to research and kind of look up online different things about child nutrition for children and, you know, stuff like that, I started to go down this rabbit hole of information, and I've stumbled across veganism and all of the videos that, you know, I'm sure we've all seen. And it's, once I saw it and learned it, I couldn't unlearn it. And I was like, oh my goodness, I don't want to be a part of this vicious cycle anymore. I want to be vegan. I think I want to try going vegan, and I want my little superhero to be vegan. So Veggie Vero was the reason that I went vegan. It was kind of interesting.
So you created the inspiration for you to go, that's out of all of those stories I've heard, that's probably the most interesting one.
It really is. It kind of blows my mind when I think about it and it's like I had this like aha moment where I'm like, oh, Veggie Vero can have a very powerful voice. This doesn't just have to be like a little cute character that's saying eat healthy or eat your veggies. This could be a voice for the voiceless. This could be, something really standing up for animal rights and empowering kids who are being raised vegan, who maybe think that they are the outcast and there's not a lot of people like them. This could be empowering for them. So it started to take on this whole life of its own, like just such a more powerful message once I geared it into the vegan direction.
And once again, thank you for coming on the live show and for doing what you're doing. It's good. Like anytime I can point to something cool happening in South Florida, you make my life a lot easier. So thank you for doing that. And for one more time, say that one more time.
Thank you for creating the platform. I love what you're doing.
I appreciate that. And tell us where we can find Veggie Vero.
So veggievero.com is my website. And if you like to shop on Amazon, they're also available on Amazon. If you just type in Veggie Vero, they all come up. And if you want to attend my book release party, if you're in South Florida, it's going to be at the Delray Beach Children's Garden, which is where I also work part-time. I'm one of the program facilitators at the Children's Garden. It's this beautiful, magical space of just outdoor exploration and trees to climb and mud kitchen and sandbox. It's a really magical place. So that's going to be October 2nd, which is next Friday. And there's going to be 2 hours of just nature play, and we're going to do a story reading and, of course, a book signing. We're going to have live music and light bites. It won't be a very large gathering. We are trying to keep it. I'm capping it, I think, at 15 families. So there's a few spaces left. If you want to sign up for it, just go to my website and you can pre-register.
And thank you so much. And we look forward to when the book is released.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a great one.
You too.
So let me bring Alba back in here. Alba is back. Oh, and the official dog of SoFlo Vegans.
Kona. Say hi, Kona. Say hi to your fans.
That was me. That was me. So before we bring on our next guest, we talked about spotlight. What is spotlight? So if you've never seen one of our spotlight videos, you know what?
I think you're boring, Kona. She's just yawned.
I think I am just going to play one instead of talking about it. I think that's what I'm going to do.
Roll tape.
Right, so this one is from Leaves and Roots. So check it out.
Hi, I'm Mark. I'm owner of Leaves and Roots Lounge. Come to Leaves and Roots Lounge. We sell kava exotic teas and vegan munchies. 100% vegan kava bar. I'm located in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in the Flagler Village area. We've been around for about a year and a half now. Kava is a root from the Polynesian islands, comes from the pepper plant. It kind of relaxes you, can influence GABA and dopamine, which gives you an uplifting effect, uplifting mood, and can give you like a positive vibe, increase sociability. It's a little bit earthy, but it's like an acquired taste. Once you get used to it, you'll start liking the taste of it. Same way like how people drink beer and other types of liquors. I think our kava is really strong here at Leaves and Roots Lounge. It comes from Vanuatu, one of the highest qualities over there in that island. We double strain it to get all the grit out, and all you're drinking is just the liquid itself. Kratom is a tea from Southeast Asia. It kind of gives you an uplifting mood. It's related to the coffee plant. Well, our kratom is really strong but really smooth at the same time, and it's triple strained, so it's really smooth. There's no grit at all. We have a vegan pizza made from a local vegan chef here in Florida. We have a vegan meat lovers pizza with BioLife vegan cheese and like different types of meat, such as like Gardein and Beyond Meat. We have chicken nuggets. They're really good. They're vegan chicken nuggets. We can make them buffalo style. We can do barbecue. We have a side of vegan ranch to go with it. We have French fries. We can air fried French fries. We can throw some Cajun seasoning on there or just throw some salt. We also have field roast vegan hot dogs. We can throw mustard, ketchup, sauerkraut, relish, any condiment we have, we can throw it on there for you. We are at half capacity at the moment with Fort Lauderdale laws. We're following CDC guidelines to prevent any COVID spread. We ask all our employees and all our customers to respect everybody's space, 6 feet apart. When you walk through the door, make sure you grab some hand sanitizer and keep a mask on at all times. We also have, we just put on at our bar, we just put some plexiglass to cover for safety of our employees. Plexiglass so nobody sneezes or gets really close to the face. So we do care about our employees as well. We have great happy hours. Right now, 25% off all you can drink kava and kratom teas. Our happy hour is from 4 to 7, 25% off all you can drink kava and kratom. On Saturdays, it's 11 to 2. If you have a Leaves and Roots shirt, then you can have extended hours from 11 to 4. So 2 hours extended for people that are wearing a Leaves and Roots shirt. And Sunday all day, 25% off kava and kratom teas.
Yeah, so that's a little taste of the spotlights. They may not always be the same. But they're always focused on supporting local businesses, nonprofit organizations, and individuals up to really big things. So be on the lookout for that. Actually, tomorrow I'm going to be filming a couple of them, and we have a few in the cutting room floor ready to.
And we have a couple more that are getting booked, so stay tuned for those.
Yeah, keeping Alba busy with all the bookings.
Yes, we are.
So our final guest is in the waiting room, in the green room, and we're going to bring him on. But I want to let everyone know, though, if you have a question, just plop it right in there, and I'll be pulling questions from the chat. I had the pleasure and privilege of this morning watching our next guest perform his presentation, and let me tell you, I get why everybody talks about it. It's he's with the Animal Rights Foundation of Florida, and actually, I'm gonna clear the room. So Alba will be back. She's not going anywhere, and our guest is none other than James Wildman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's been for a long time. It's been a long time, sir. So for everyone that is tuning in right now, tell us a little bit about yourself before we start digging into some topics that I know people want to, get information about.
Okay. Yeah. So my name is James Wildman. I am the humane educator for the Animal Rights Foundation of Florida. So for the last 13 and a half years, I've been giving presentations in schools, high schools, universities. During the summer, I would be speaking to camps, to elementary, middle school age kids, and just talking pretty much anywhere in the community. Anybody that wants to hear me talk, I'll talk. So yeah, just giving presentation on veganism and other animal rights issues.
And what I want to do for this conversation is to make sure that we're addressing some questions that people get, especially the first time they go vegan. Of course, everybody in their family becomes an expert, a health expert, as they're eating McDonald's and KFC. They're like, well, where are you going to get your protein? So no judgment. It's all love. It's all love. So let's start there. Protein.
Yeah, I mean, I try to make it humorous when people ask me questions that I find humorous. So when somebody says, where do you get your protein? I say the supermarket. Where do you get yours? People don't really think about the questions that they're really asking. And I mean, a lot of it is like defensiveness. But the real question is, how much protein do you need? And, you don't really need that much. And as long as you're eating enough calories, you'll get your protein. So, peanut butter and jelly sandwich has tons of protein. It has about, peanut butter itself is just filled with protein. Peanuts, has something like 35 grams of protein per cup. So protein is not an issue as long as you consume food and you consume obviously the right foods. I mean, you could eat nothing but candy and that wouldn't be healthy. But as long as you're eating a variety of plant-based foods, fruits, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, nuts, and seeds, you'll meet all your nutritional needs.
Okay, so boom, check. No one ever has to ask that again. I'm just kidding.
wish.
But no, the idea behind this is now people can hear an example of a way to answer it, and if they get that question, they can put their spin on it. So that's really the intention behind this, because trust me, we all started at some point, unless you were born vegan, and I'm sure these are some of the questions that you might have had as well. So everything I'm doing is in jest. So the second question that I hear all the time: we're supposed to eat meat. Look.
Yeah.
Look. What do you say to that?
The canines. It's pretty funny. Again, why do we use knives and forks? If our canines were so sharp. Look at your cat or dog. Those are what real canines look like. And then look at the gorilla. I mean, they have enormous canines, but they're plant-based. So if you want to look at anatomy, then we're 99.9% herbivorous. Just because we can consume animal products doesn't mean that we should. So we are omnivorous in our ability, but biologically speaking, we're way closer to the herbivores. So again, it's just people want to find excuses, but that's all they are. They're just excuses. I don't really see too many people acting like lions and tigers and hunting their food down with their enormous speed and using their canines to rip through the animal. But again, people will be like, oh well, that's why we created weapons. But weapons don't change your biological anatomy. So I mean, it's just unnecessary. That's really what it comes down to. It's just unnecessary to participate. And if you really think your canines are that sharp, then try to consume flesh without cooking the animal or using a knife and fork. Go right to the skin.
And the other thing too is the idea that I always thought about this, like when people say, I can't live without meat. I love the taste of meat. And to me, I'm immediately thinking, it's usually the seasoning that I like on the meat. It's just the texture that comes with whatever it is I'm eating. So I just what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, go outside and find yourself some roadkill, and nobody thinks that's appetizing. So we decorate death. This is why we have culinary arts classes. Because we put tons of salt and we put sugar in our products, and then we season it with spices, and that's all plant based. So yeah, I mean, we're just accustomed to it, and then once you I don't want to say give up, because you're not giving anything up, you're just replacing. So once you replace your meat products with plant-based products, you'll realize that there's so much more flavor in the plant kingdom than the animal kingdom. There's not much color in the animal kingdom either. It's just, white, red, it's just death. So, why not eat something that's like, alive, essentially, the plants. And then obviously the next part, I don't know if you're going to mention plants have feelings, it's like, okay. I mean, again, it's a funny argument. I when I present, I try to think of it as a chess match. So I want to know your move before you know your move. So I'll beat you to the punch. But plants don't have a central nervous system, so they can't feel pain and happiness the way that animals and humans can. And it's just from a biological standpoint, it's just idiotic to think that plants can experience pain the same way that animals can. Because it's just not a biological trait you want to pass down. It would really suck to be a plant to not be able to run from the pain, swim from the pain, or fly from the pain. It just would suck to be a plant. So for that reason alone, I think there was an Israeli botanist or biologist who came out and said something like, plants can feel pain, they just don't give a shit. So I kind of like using that. Like, it's just without the brain, it just doesn't really matter. So.
Okay, so now it's going to get a little bit more complicated, because these are actual things I don't have a clear. I know it, but I don't know how to explain it. So, reason people eat meat is because you can't get certain types of nutrients you can't find those nutrients in anything else except meat. So you have to eat meat for that reason.
Right. It's like B12. It's like nobody eats meat to get B12 until somebody says, somebody asks you oh, you don't want to have my steak, and you're like, oh, I'm a vegetarian or vegan, and oh, what about B12? That's the only time it would ever come up. Nobody is like, I'm eating this steak to get my B12. So again, it's the last straw that they're holding on to. B12 isn't actually made by animals or plants. It's one of the only vitamins other than vitamin D, which you get from the sun. And that's really not a problem here in South Florida. So B12 is it's a bacteria found in water and soil. And the funny part is that most farms are actually injecting B12 into the animals because they're not getting it either from the soil. So it's like instead of taking a flu shot, you were to give the flu shot to a cow and then eat the cow. It just cut the middleman out. But it's B12 is not a vegan deficiency; it's a soil deficiency. So we just depleted the B12 out of the soil and out of the water. So I mean, everything we do is unnatural. I really don't like to use the word natural anymore because just the fact that we're on a Zoom call or whatever this is, it's just completely unnatural. The fact that we wear clothes and everything. So I mean, natural has nothing to do with it. If we have to take a B12 supplement, one supplement doesn't negate the fact that raising animals for food is just atrocious to the environment and to our health. The leading cause of death in the United States is heart disease. So, your B12 isn't going to save you from heart disease. So again, our body can actually needs a very small amount of B12, and you can get B12 in nutritional yeast. You can get it from pretty much all the fortified plant milks. Most cereals have B12. Granola bars, Cliff bars have B12. And again, if you have to take a supplement, you take a supplement. It's one minor thing. Same with vitamin D. If you're just living in like an area like Alaska where you're not getting that much sun, then take a vitamin D supplement. Again, natural has nothing to do with it. It's just simply about creating a more humane, just, and healthy world.
Something that I'm hearing more and more of is cholesterol, and you need it for your brain, or you need cholesterol is the argument that I hear, and that's why they say eggs and meat, you should be eating it.
Yeah, I don't know. Your body makes cholesterol. Your body makes all the cholesterol you need. So, any cholesterol you bring in from the outside is not good, and that's why heart disease is leading cause of death in the United States. So I mean, it's not. It's not being caused by bread. White bread is atrocious as well, but it's, that leads to other things because of the sugar that they add to it and the fact that they devoid it of all nutrients. They take out the fiber. But no, I mean, you don't need to consume the cholesterol and saturated fat of another animal. It's like, anything that's in that animal becomes part of you. So their cholesterol becomes your cholesterol. Their fat becomes your fat. So, we have the highest rates of obesity in the entire world. So, it's just unnecessary. And if you look at, the statistics out there, it's, if you're eating a whole plant-based diet of, again, fruits, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, nuts, and seeds, you have the lowest risk of heart disease. So the argument of adding cholesterol to your body just doesn't make any sense.
One of the things that shocked me that I thankfully learned after I went vegan is actually what we're eating when it comes to eggs and milk. Do you want to go into that a little bit? Disclaimer.
Sure. So well, first it's funny to think what people don't really think about what they're eating. So like, some people are like, I thought it was a baby chick. It's like, why would you want to eat a baby chick? I mean, they're like, they think it's like, an unfertilized, it is unfertilized. They think it's a fertilized egg, which would mean they're eating an abortion, which doesn't make, it's not very appealing either. So, no, it's an unfertilized egg. It's the expulsion of an unfertilized egg, which, by any definition is a period. It's not a menstruation cycle because they're not mammals and it doesn't produce blood, but it is pretty much the same as what a woman and your dog and your cat, your female dog and cat would go through. So it's just in a different form. And it is always funny. I mean, it's also coming out of their rectum. So it's a pretty like, for people that are, feel like they don't like to really be a part of things that involve feces, we seem to be consuming a lot of it. When you think of like the E. coli and salmonella, it's all coming from the animal feces that contaminates the broccoli. It's not the broccoli's fault. So yeah, it's a hence period, and it's just completely unnecessary, full of cholesterol and saturated fat. And again, it's funny, like we consume hen's eggs, but we don't consume like the eggs of any other creature. So I mean, I guess there's like quail eggs, but like we're not eating like snake eggs or anything like that.
And what about milk?
Milk, so absurd. The mammary secretions. It's It's absurd. The statistic now I like to give is 5 billion people are lactose intolerant. 5 billion people. I mean, you can't even wrap your head around that. It's just ingenious that the milk industry is able to sell a product where 5 billion people can't consume it properly. It'd be like if, broccoli, all of a sudden it was like, broccoli, 5 billion people can't consume broccoli. The broccoli would go out of business. So, they just pump it through the school system. And, I talk to kids and they're like, I thought it was normal to have a stomach ache after drinking cow's milk. And I'm like, it is normal. Like, your body is like telling you this is not meant for you. And, it's just, if you look at like the numbers, like it's 75% African Americans are lactose intolerant, 80% Asian Americans lactose intolerant, 50% Latin Americans lactose intolerant, 90% Native Americans are lactose intolerant. And so then you see it push, pump through the school system. And, they target minorities, they target, certain demographics. And, it's just being pumped in. It's just awful. There's no substitute for it. And there obviously is. There's tons of substitutes, from almond milk to soy milk to cashew milk to Coke to oat milk. So there's tons of plant-based alternatives, but they're just not being available to the students in the school. So cow's milk is completely absurd. Only species to consume the milk of another animal, and only species to continue drinking milk after infancy. So I always tell people, if you're going to, get rid of anything, get rid of the dairy. In terms of the animal suffering, it's for a longer period. In terms of your health, it's blood, pus, cholesterol, and saturated fat. Bon appetit.
And there's more, like, in terms of like how you actually get the milk. That's a whole other story, right?
Yeah, artificial insemination. So there's a man or a woman who will shove their fist into the vaginal cavity of the cow and inject semen into them. And then they become pregnant, and then their babies are taken away so that we can consume the milk. It's just an awful, awful, horrific system that we've created. And it's always funny to hear people be like, well, why don't we just create, better conditions? How do you create a better condition of artificially inseminating an animal that didn't ask for that? So it's unnecessary. All male calves born in the dairy industry are taken away from their mother immediately and chained to a box to be made into veal. So their life is just one of misery. So these are like inherent evils that you can't get around. Like cage-free, free-range, organic doesn't get rid of these awful, awful things that we do to animals. So instead of trying to create better conditions for violence, just end the violence, do something, good for the planet, for yourself, and for the animals.
And speaking of doing something, for yourself, the planet, and the animals, you are part of an organization, Animal Rights Foundation of Florida. Tell us a little bit about some of the fine work that you guys are doing.
Yeah, so we focus on all animals in Florida, and we've been successful in a lot of things. We've protested Ringling Brothers Circus for years, decades, and they're no longer. So that's great. There's so few circuses now that use animals, but when they do come to town, we're there to educate people, to let people know what their money supports. There's the Galleria in Fort Lauderdale had Sequest, like a marine park that they had. It's like less than a mile away from the beach, and here you had animals that were going to be confined into tanks, and they had a petting zoo that they wanted to have. So it looks like they're out of town as well, so that's good. Right now we're protesting a condominium at River Reach in Fort Lauderdale, 900 River Reach. So if you want to join us, you can visit us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Animals Florida. So we're out there because they hired a trapper to kill the Muscovy ducks, and there's an overpopulation. There's an overpopulation of humans, but we don't talk about that. But so there's obviously there's a lot of Muscovy ducks around, and they're considered non-native, which is insane because they've been here for like 500 years. But they're here because we brought them over here, and they're here to stay, and people don't like them because they shit, and so do we. But people see them as a nuisance. And so this condo association, they hired a trapper, and the trapper will be like, oh, we put him somewhere else. And that's complete BS, because what they do is they kill them. You can't actually remove a Muscovy duck to another area unless like a sanctuary or something. So they end up killing them, and the ways of killing them can be horrific, whether it's gassing, wringing their neck, shooting them. So we're out there, we're now protesting them to let them know that we disagree wholeheartedly of what they're doing. And we're trying to get people that live in the condos to talk to the managers, to the board of directors, and to get them to basically invite us in. What we'll do is we do a humane way of controlling the population. So there's a humane way of doing it. So it's basically collecting the eggs before they're born. And I know that doesn't necessarily sound very thrilling, but the alternative is you kill the mothers, you kill all of the ducks. And so this is just controlling the population. In an ideal world, we just let them live their life. But, we have our own agenda. And so this is just, we're doing it for free. We will come in there, we will collect the eggs, and we'll control the population, as opposed to hiring somebody, paying money, and having them kill all the animals, which in the end doesn't work anyway, because ducks will just reemerge. So this is an easy way of controlling population for free. So if anybody's interested, please contact us. You can contact me at james@arff.org, james@arff.org. You can visit our website, arff.org. And again, follow us on Facebook. So it's /Animals Florida.
And thank you so much, James, for coming on to the program and for all the things that you guys are doing through the Animal Rights Foundation of Florida. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and hopefully if you're watching this right now, you receive some value out of it. And one more time, if they want to email you or contact you, where can they do that?
Sure. It's james@arff.org. And if you're interested in scheduling a presentation, I'll speak to anybody. I'll do pretty much anything. And especially now that everything's virtual, I can be international. So if you have a family that you want to do a presentation with, I have a virtual presentation that I've tried to make a little bit more interactive through Zoom or any other medium that you have. So again, you can email me at james@arff.org. Visit our website, arff.org. And if you go to the Humane Education Department, I just created on the website, if you go to the Humane Education section, I created a vegan starter kit. It's 50 pages. It's mostly pictures, so not much reading. And it's pretty much in 13 and a half years, like every question I've ever gotten, I've basically just broken down to just make it as easy as possible for people to transition. So it's got like, a shopping list that's basically all plant-based. Then it has like, okay, if you want to replace your everyday meals, so if you're having spaghetti with meatballs, real simple to replace it with spaghetti with meatless meatballs, and it has all the pictures to show you how it's done. So it's just, again, 13 and a half years of trying to make it incredibly easy. Like I want to hold your hand to go through this. And so you can visit our website and find that. And you can email me again, and I'll send you that as well.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. And, I'm definitely going to be clipping this and putting it up in different places, because I feel like the last 10 minutes has been extremely insightful, a good place to start for a lot of people who may not know how to answer those questions. So have a great day, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Oops, cut him off a little early. Sorry, James. So we're going to bring Alba back, and we're going to close this up as we have 2 minutes left. And Alba, how was the show?
Wow. Me personally, I'm glad that somebody other than me said it. Plants don't have a central nervous system. So that blew my mind. Thank you, James, for that.
And really, it's like, those are for me personally, those are the biggest things that I hear as far as the questions. So being able to get those clear and concise answers, I know could help a lot of people out, because that's one of the big things. It's like, for me, it was like when I first went vegan, I didn't know how to answer questions. I felt like a horrible advocate. And that's just finding where the information is. So thanks, James. Thank you, Karen Ellis-Ritter. Thank you, Veronica Green, for coming on.
You guys.
Make sure you guys go out, support local business. But you know what? It's not even a stretch, because there's so many amazing businesses out here. You're just essentially, you know what? Instead of saying support local business, I'm going to use a new phrase to replace. It's not, I didn't make it up, but it fits. Okay. And I'm going to close on this.
Okay.
Instead of always saying support local business, which you should always do, treat yourself. You deserve good vegan food.
Preach.
So go to a local vegan restaurant and
Yes.
treat yourself.
Yes. Because you're worth it.
I like new shirt ideas. Treat yourself on the back.
Because you're worth it.
Have a good one, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you.